And today I'd like to talk about growth, specifically how we grow in our healing journeys. Now I want to start with a caution. Wherever your woundedness comes from, and whatever the degree of your woundedness, from abuse or trauma, warfare, disaster, whatever the source of it or the extent, there's a human tendency to measure ourselves against other people. And you want to be careful not to try to out-trauma people, to be critical or intolerant because what is wrong with them? Nothing near as bad happened to them as what happened to me. I don't understand. And then there's the other degree, how we use other people to minimize our own pain. Well, I don't have any room to talk. What happened to me wasn't near as bad as what happened to them. Okay, put both of those things away and everything in between. Whatever your wounds are, whatever caused them, they still have to heal. Whether I have a broken leg or a scratch from a cat, there's still wounds that need to heal. They will take different lengths of time to heal, and the healing process will be different. But wounds are wounds, and they have to heal. Now, when we talk about things like abuse and trauma, warfare, natural disasters, the really huge things that kind of slam us in life, that leave us in states of PTSD and take the kind of lifelong healing that we're talking about here, we're not talking quite the same thing as a broken leg. Generally speaking, in a simple fracture, a medically qualified person will put a splint or a cast on the limb after straightening it and getting the bones back in line, and immobilize them so that they can heal. And in 6 to 8 weeks, with proper care, they will heal, and then you can start getting back your function in that limb, learning to reuse it and getting it strong again. A broken psyche takes a lot longer. It can take a lifetime. My daughter, who also has PTSD, said to me the other day that she felt bad that it was taking her so long to get herself back together after what happened to her. And I just looked at her and I said, it's been 9 years. It's been 9 years since you, between one day and the next, discovered you had nearly died, an experience you would then go on to repeat on a regular basis, and that you had a physical condition that totally tore apart your plans for the future and totally changed the way the rest of your life was going to play out. It's been 9 years. And then I looked at her and went, 48 years. It's been 48 years for me. And I still have things get poked. I still have things that trigger an adrenaline reaction and leave me shaking and unable to sleep, having a primal fear reaction totally inappropriate to the startle that happened. So you really can't look at it and go, well, it's been this long, I should be better. Yeah, me too. But it is what it is, and wherever you are, whether you're just starting your healing journey or you've been at it for a while, there are some things I've discovered that seem kind of common to growth that I would like to share with you. The first one of those is the shape of growth. Now, I often use the phrase that we're not trying to leap tall buildings in a single bound, we're trying to step up the ladder. Because growth, although sometimes it will feel like you've made a big leap, that's actually after you've made a lot of small steps, whether it's across the room or up a ladder. But the truth is, we don't simply scale our problems, because it's never one singular problem. I have to deal with fear. I have to deal with the physical issues that have come along. I have to deal with the PTSD. and anxiety and depression and the way it's impacted my sexuality and the way it's impacted my relationships. And all of those things have their own ladder. And here's the thing. You can't deal with too many things at once. So rather than thinking of it as a single ladder, which it certainly is not, or a bunch of ladders strung together, I think of it as a spiral staircase. That as you go through your healing journey, wherever you are going to go up your spiral staircase. And here's the thing. At this point on the spiral staircase, let's say you're dealing with fear. And as you go up and around and deal with other things, you're going to get back to fear. But when you deal with it this time, it's going to be from a different place. And every time you keep moving around and hit that fear spot again, you're dealing with it from a different place and you're moving up. So it's tempting to go, well, I've dealt with that issue. And you have. Probably many times. And you will again, probably many times. Think of it as a spiral staircase. You're hitting the same vertical points going this way, but they're at different levels. And as you go up each level, even though you're hitting the same point, you are making progress. And the same goes with all the other points as you go around that spiral. The other thing is that you will hit landings. Staircases usually have landings. They have small platforms, sometimes big platforms, where you can stop and take a break. And this is really important. You will have plateaus or landings, and it's important while you're there to enjoy the break. Don't rush off the landing, but at the same time you can't dawdle. And unfortunately there aren't any hard and fast rules. You kind of have to fumble your way through. But you will have different size landings that you will get to. There will be times when you'll get to a landing and you will think to yourself, oh, I've reached the top, I'm done. Only to discover months or even years later, as your healing journey gets further along, that you have some more ways to go. And I kind of tend to get a little bit angry at that point. Most of the time now it doesn't last too long. I get angry and then I get determined again to get going. Sometimes I get depressed. Sometimes I've been on that landing and it's been a really nice landing. The landing's led out to a balcony and it's a beautiful view and I've really been enjoying it. And then I've discovered that I have to trudge up again and I get depressed. I don't want to deal with it, and so I push everything down. And in the process push myself down, and I have to kind of dig back up to the landing so I can start the growth again. And it's difficult. I remember when I first started serious therapy about the sexual abuse, saying to my husband at the time, how long is this going to take? And he said, well, it only took you 19 years to get to this point. So, figure it's going to take you at least 19 years to get out of it. That was not what I wanted to hear. And I really didn't believe him. It couldn't possibly be that long. 48 years. Not 48 since I started therapy. It's been 30 years since I started therapy. But 48 years since the initial trauma of the sexual abuse began. And yeah, sometimes I get really tired of it. Sometimes I just don't know what to say. And especially when you have people in your life that say things like, I don't understand why you can't just put it behind you. Or, why can't you be like so-and-so? She's just fine. Only if you look really closely, you can kind of see that maybe she's not as fine as she appears to people. That eating disorder she keeps hidden, or the anxiety or the depression, You can put a nice face on things, but that doesn't make you fine. Because if you have suffered from abuse or trauma, well, you have to recover. And it's a journey. When you have a deep wound, it takes a long time to heal. Especially if you spent years, like many of us did, covering up that wound with everything we could. And so not only does the wound have to heal, but we have to dig out a lot of crap that is piled in and do a lot of cleaning out. And sometimes opening things back up that we don't want to open, because that's the way for them to truly heal. So I'm having one of those days where I'm kind of tired of climbing the staircase, and you're going to have those days too. And let me tell you, I have a list of things that I eventually want to talk to you about. This is a really big subject. It's taken me my whole life to get this far, and I'd like to eventually share it with you. And it would have been really easy today to just go down that list and pick something, and very detached talk to you about it. But part of my promise to you is to not just be physically naked here on the video, but to be emotionally naked, to let you see me where I'm at. And where I'm at today, well, there are some days I look in the mirror and go, well, having a good hair day, I'll take that. Because right now I feel a bit floundering. I have lots of things I want to do. Ambition is not a problem except when I do hit depression points. But emotionally speaking, I'm just kind of feeling a bit meh. You know, I would just like to have one of those days where you curl up with a good book and a nice cup of hot tea and escape reality. And I can't. First, because of my commitment to you, but also because I have people in my life, and feeling a bit fed up, maybe is it, with where this has taken me, is not a good enough reason to check out on them. Oh, don't get me wrong. There will be times I will need to check out, and I will let them know that, because I'm at the point with them in terms of the emotional intimacy that I can say, I need to check out today. I need to not be a mom. I need to not be a wife. I need to not even be a pet owner. So somebody else is going to have to feed the cats. Somebody else is going to have to take out the trash, or think about dinner, or the things that I do as my contributions to our household. And that's okay. We all need days where we take a little mental health break. But just feeling kind of meh is not enough reason to do that for me anymore. And that's not a judgment, because we are all on different places. And what brings you to the point where you need to take a break is what brings you to the point you need to take a break. But it is so tempting to use it as an excuse for myself. To use it as an excuse not to be open and naked with you. There have been days I've taken a break, and that's important. But just not feeling it is not a good enough reason. And so this is not just to remind you about the many times that you'll hit the same place over and over, and how slow and long-lasting growth can be. But it's also a reminder to me. It's that just keep swimming. Only today I'm not feeling all perky about it. It's just keep swimming. So wherever you are on your spiral staircase, or however you've arranged your healing climb, always remember that clothing is optional, but consent is not.